This is the Big Chat Small Talk podcast for dynamic, engaged minds who love thought-provoking discussions about big life challenges in an approachable way. Join me, Bernie Bennett,
and me, Louise Anderson, to challenge your own perspective, to share insights and wisdom on navigating life's demands. Let us have a big chat about important issues in a small talk way.
We've all heard the saying that you don't marry the individual but the family. But how true is that in real life? In-laws come in all shapes and sizes, and Viola Fields from Monster in Law illustrates just what a nightmare it can be when all parties are not happy with the partnership that's about to take place. Likewise, it doesn't just stop at mother-in-law, but the surrounding family members can also affect the smooth sailing relationship of a new couple. We'll be discussing toxic in-laws and are they really interfering and overbearing or just initiating you into the family way? I quite like that, the idea that you're being initiated into their way.
Yeah, many would disagree. Yeah, but I can see it. I can see how it can feel interfering and overbearing, but then I can see how as a family unit welcoming in somebody else, there is this kind of instinctive initiation.
Yeah.
Now, I come from a big family. And I've seen that very thing happen. And having a big family, I can see the overbearingness and the interfering. Yeah,
okay.
You get the stories of the interfering aunt or the mother-in-law who just says a bit
won't
too much, or won't let go, literally will not cut the apron strings. And also you see, and it happens in stages as well, because with my cousins, I've got siblings as well, my brother, and just other people in the family. When they introduce, say, their new partner, so boyfriend or girlfriend, it's fun. It's like, come to the family parties. It's, this is what we do. We're really great. We really advertise ourselves. That's what you do. You advertise yourselves as a family. You're going to love being a part of us.
Yes.
But there are family norms and characteristics. So in my family and in my culture, my mother's side especially, cousins are always around, aunts and uncles are always around. I grew up very much with my cousins being like my siblings, and the troops, the pack, like the brothers and sisters are really tight.
So did you find that they interfered, or did you have that situation in your own marriage where your family interfered, or were your family angels? Are you going to tell me your family were angels?
I will not lie. For the record, I will not lie. Anyway, no, a little bit of both again. So in my long-term relationship, we had different backgrounds. My ex-partner wasn't used to having the extended family around all the time who came in your home. Like, for example, when we were moving house, my aunts and my mums and my cousins will be around. So if we're moving into a new home, they'll be around with all the cleaning stuff, even if this place has been cleaned professionally.
They'll come in again.
Cleaning again.
I love it.
And my ex would be like, but it's clean already. We don't need this. I says, no, this is how we are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cultural differences, aren't there, really? So I know in my household, taking the shoes off was a big thing coming into the home, and my husband took a long time to get into that. It was like, why do you need to take your shoes off? I'm like, because it's dirty outside, and when you come in, the idea that you can drop something on the floor and pick it up and still eat it is a nice thought.
Especially when food is scarce.
So and then like when his family came over as well, it was like, do I have to tell my family to take their shoes? I'm like, absolutely. So some things are cultural that that you bring in that could cause conflict, because the mother-in-law is like, I don't want to take my shoes off. It's like but it's normal. And so I think sometimes cultural things can have that impact of the conflict, rather than it being just in-laws impacting inwardly. Your culture can impact outwardly as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And so there's the culture element, and there's kind of like the ritualistic things as well. So if you do have two different backgrounds and two different cultures, and if you're of a certain religion, there are ritualistic things that have to take place when you're introducing your potentially new spouse into the family. And if you don't come from that, I can see how difficult that would be to adopt or to be able to assimilate with.
Yeah.
And then you've got the things that are just characteristics of a family about how they do things. So even myself, I come from a family of entertainers. So even as a child, I was made to, go on stage and dance, and we traveled. A lot of my families are musicians. So when we have family occasions, it's all about being entertaining and can you sing, can you dance? And the moment you say I can sing, you're getting up on the stage.
So was your ex like kind of pushed onto stage as well? When
he wasn't pushed onto the stage. I think what the environment was, it's very extroverted.
Right.
So my ex was very introverted. He's very academic, likes his books, etc. And I'm probably a natural introvert. But growing up in a family like that, you had to find your voice. You if you were in the corner, you're never going to be heard or seen.
I suppose if they never really push it on the individual, then you can't really say that in-laws are impacting the relationship. Really, I think that's a nice relationship to want to integrate the individual into the family way. So this is the initiating into the family way. This is what we do. Would you like to join in, sort of thing? But I suppose if it's something where, I generally find that the things that are the conflict areas are the bits like religion, having decided how many kids you're going to have before getting married, because the mother-in-law wants to have X amount of grandkids, and if that's not discussed at the beginning, I think those are the things where you'll get the whispers. Is she having any kids? When's she starting?
Yeah, exactly.
That sort of thing. Yeah. Or is the child getting baptized? Why isn't he getting baptized?
Which religion?
Yeah, so exactly. These are the things where I think that's where you'll find in-law interaction being a little bit toxic. But it doesn't have to be if you actually decide that you have the discussions early on at the beginning, so everybody's boundaries are set really nice and tight. Mum knows what's happening. No, we're not having any kids, or we're not having any kids for the first 2 years, so don't ask. Don't ask, don't push.
Well, that's what tends to happen, because as soon as you get married, people ask us, when are the children coming?
Yeah, it's immediate.
Exactly. It's a big one. And you get, again, at certain cultures, the moment you get married, people are going to start asking, when are you going to get married? In other cultures, it's just something people wouldn't do. They just wouldn't ask. But you're right. You've got to set the boundaries. But what happens if you've got a situation where you are married to somebody and there's a particularly difficult person in that family that is constantly interfering in your relationship, constantly has stuff to say about how you do things? And I'm not just parking this on mother-in-laws.
No,
there can be other people
as well.
How do you deal with that? Because at the end of the day, you've got the situation where that's their blood relation. You're their life partner, essentially. Is blood thicker than water?
Well, you see, that's a really tricky one for me, because I do think blood is thicker than water, which hubby won't like to hear that, because if you ever do split, your family are always there. They are always there, and relationships don't always last. Although, for me, it's till death do you part. So from that perspective, I am 100% here, 100% committed, and I don't see it being any other way. But the surrounding family, because I know it always seems to sit with mother-in-law, and it's not always mother-in-law. It can be a sister or a brother. And I myself had an issue there, which I had to sort, and I do this long writing of letters, as you well know.
You love a letter.
Yes, I do. But, it's a case of, I think it's the partner's job to actually step in. And that's where the conflict becomes unbearable if the partner doesn't step in and says, mum or sister or brother, no, she's not doing that. Or no, in fairness, it shouldn't be she's not doing it. It should be we're not doing it. And sometimes by highlighting the individual is what heightens it. Why didn't she want to do that? Why won't she come over? Rather than, we're not coming over. The kids are too young. We'll come over in 6 months' time, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So partner stepping in is very key to ensuring that the in-laws don't become toxic, and boundaries are properly set and kept. But what if they're not kept? What do you do?
Well, this is it. It's a tricky situation, and I have seen extremes in both situations where there has been fallout and people not talking, etc. But I will have to say, I just think what you have to decide, like you're saying earlier, as a couple, you've got to set your boundaries, you've got to communicate them clearly, and you've got to unite in the we.
Yes,
at the end of the day, because the moment you say, well, she doesn't want to do this, or
that's just a target.
It's a target on their back. And I think you've got to be conscientious of it. And I think sometimes men get it wrong. They just do get it wrong. Sorry, guys. But sometimes when, as a wife or a partner, you just say something, and it could just be something off the cuff, like, I just don't fancy that today.
Yeah.
They then pick up the phone and say, oh, she just doesn't fancy it today. She doesn't. It's just like,
I love it.
Do you know what I mean? Use your common sense.
Yeah.
You know,
help me out here.
But I think if we sum it all up, then with all of that being said, is it better to not marry if this issue is identified at the start?
To me, it's 100% yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you're seeing these red flags at the beginning, because I truly believe you are marrying the family and not the individual, then no, it's not going to work. And the angst that you're feeling before marriage only doubles, triples after marriage. And when you're even more committed and you've got kids, and the interfering becomes even more. So yeah, no, don't do it. don't do
Love doesn't conquer all in that case.
No, I don't think it does. I really, really don't think it does. I don't, because I'm very much one where you can have an arranged marriage, and so it doesn't start off with love. But an arranged marriage really does suit the families together, your religions together, your ideals together. So from that perspective, when you marry the family, love can grow from that. Everything's perfect. Everything's set to be the best marriage. So, yeah, love isn't going to conquer interfering in-laws. It really, really won't. You really need to set those boundaries.
Brilliant.
Thanks for listening to the Big Chat Small Talk with Bernie and Louise.
Follow us on Instagram at Big Chat Small Talk.